My name's Anthony Gyzen. I'm from Orange County, California originally. Grew up out there, lived out there for a long time, and moved to Washington State. Now I'm here. Kansas City, Missouri, a little bit north in Gladstone, and I've been living in Kansas City for 5 years now. I got here like right before the pandemic, so it was a interesting time to explore a new city when there's nothing really you can go do. I had been out here to visit, specifically to Kansas City. I've been out here many times before I moved here to visit like my dad, my brother, work stuff. Moving somewhere when COVID was just starting was kind of like, it was interesting. It kind of kept me in the momentum. It kept me in the field of photography I was doing, where it's just like, oh, go take landscapes and architecture and stuff. So I would just like pick a direction and drive like an hour or two and like find small towns or take pictures out there, stuff like that. That's what I was doing. I would just pick a direction and like zigzag down country roads or whatever, just no direction in mind and let it see where it takes me. Jeremy Page is one of my favorite photographers, Eaten by Flowers. He's incredible. As far as like active photographers, probably one of my biggest influences. I love, one of the main things I'm looking for when I'm taking a street photo is like, I like a little bit of humor. I want, my favorite ones that I've taken are a little bit funny. There's a little bit of excitement or something goofy happening, and he has a lot of that too. So he's one of my biggest influences. Like out in California, I lived out there until I was about 21, and I only really started taking photography, like taking intentional photos, the last like 2 or 3 years I was living out there, and it wasn't anything of people. So I never really interacted with the interesting cast out there of people. I feel like part of the problem out here too is it's so car dependent. And so it's like if you go to downtown on like a Thursday, you walk around, there's nobody anywhere. And the only time you see big groups of people or people really walking around are special events, things like the river market here every Saturday, Sunday, there's people. That's why I'm always down here. So it's definitely harder here. I got to find events. I have a few other photographer friends that when we find something, we're like, oh, this thing's happening at this time. We'll share it between each other and we're like, okay, we have something to go do. Because otherwise I can't just go walk around downtown and find pictures because there's just nobody anywhere. Maybe somebody's like walking to their car and then they get in their car and they're gone, and that's the end of that. So around like 2010 is when I got like an actual camera. Like I had been taking photos forever. Like I had, a Pentax K1000 when I was a kid, that was my mom's, but I would use that. And so I was always taking pictures. My mom was always taking pictures, and I didn't really take it seriously or care that much about it until I got a Canon T3 digital camera. That made me think more about just composition and the exposure triangle and all that kind of stuff. And ever since I've been hooked on it. And, moving from California where there's great places to take photos up to Washington State, also year-round great photos, kind of made it a little difficult coming here with like winter. It's like, oh, you have a solid 3-month block of either no people are out or there's like barren landscapes. And so I was like, okay, this is an adjustment. But, I kind of, now that I mostly just do street, I kind of just go with the flow. I have an idea in mind, or not an idea, but I have a system in place where I know what settings I'm going to be using, and I just wait for the scenes to happen. It can be a little difficult when there's just not a lot of people. So it's like, hey, you wait around, you get nothing. Maybe you wait 5 hours at the river market and you get 2 pictures all day. I had shot film when I was younger, but when I came back to film maybe 7, 8 years ago, that jump happened again. It was like it was like, oh, I learned a whole bunch when I was starting digital, and then when I went to film, I felt like I gained just as much making that switch. Because it just makes you think differently, and you're like, oh, I can't blast away on everything. So you're just a little more intentional on top of, you know, shooting with like a more professional type camera rather than like a phone or something. It just makes you think a little more about what you're taking pictures of. At the end of 2022, I was going through my images, my rolls for the year, and just looking through the stuff. And I noticed I wasn't very happy with most of the pictures. I was like, I was starting to get this disinterested feeling looking at the landscapes, the rural buildings. And I'm like, I kept having this thought in my head. I'm like, anybody can take this picture basically any time. And I know because it's happened to me. I would drive 2 hours one direction, zigzag down country roads feeling like I don't know where I am, stop at a place and be like, I was here a year ago and I already took this photo. And so I was kind of getting a little bit annoyed with that. And I noticed when I was going through that 2022 year of images, my favorite ones of the year were ones that had like life or people, pets, just something different, because I was like, no one else can get that photo again. That was a one-time thing. It's impossible to retake like this photo. And so I didn't really start fully diving into the street until midway through 2023 to the end of 2023. I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this a bit. Dabbled a little, went to the river market, stuff like that. Nothing was good. And then at the beginning of 2024, I was like, I'm only gonna be doing street this whole year. And just to see, give yourself a little challenge. And yeah, I have not stopped. I don't see myself stopping. I've even debated like taking down all of my old photos that I've posted, because I'm like, I don't care about them anymore. after taking, you know, like a year and a half or 2 years worth of street stuff, I'm like, it just doesn't interest me anymore. It's easier to have a fun or funny photo when there's people in it. It's a lot harder to do that when it's just a landscape. And I'm just trying to have fun. And so when I see something or someone else having fun, I'm like, okay, this is the first thing I'm jumping to. To invoke like beyond something just being fun or somewhat interesting is a lot harder. And those don't come up that often. And maybe because I haven't been doing this that long, but you know, it's like going back to Eaten by Flowers, Jeremy Page. You look at his photos and it's every single one on that carousel. You're just like, wow, I can't believe like this is happening, or what in the world is going on, or this is hilarious. And so, you know, he's been doing it forever. And it's probably something you get better at. You get a better eye for it. But right now I'm just trying to have fun. Yeah, I'm not too worried about my photos having like a big impact or anything. I feel like if I'm having fun, people might enjoy looking at them. I told myself for a long time that I don't want to make money doing this, and I don't want to be thinking about a photo, like taking a photo or about to take a photo being like, can I make money on this? And I do not want that. The only way I would ever sell stuff, at least in the foreseeable future, would be like to help fund some kind of problem. Like if someone's having a problem, or if someone I know is hurt, some foundations or charities or something. But otherwise, I don't want to sell anything. I just don't want to be thinking about money when I'm taking pictures. I have thought though about like putting together zines or maybe a book at way far down the line. But if I was going to do a zine, I would try to basically give it away, like just pay me shipping or something, like the cost to make it, whatever that is, and then shipping, and you get it. I don't want to be making money on it. There's one I was in New York about a year ago, and like there's one photo I took that it's coming to mind right now. I like just dropped my bags off at the hotel. I walk out the front door, and on the corner there's this guy with a like really pampered white dog that he's holding, and I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And so I walk over, and I see like on the collar, it's like the tag says like service dog for this, like he's carrying this like beautiful dog, and I was like, that's one of my favorite photos, and it was like the first photo I took on that trip, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be a good trip. And so there's that one. There's one, I was in DC, and we were at the Capitol, and they have it all barricaded now, and so because of events, and so nobody can go up there. And so I'm with my mom. She worked for the government her whole life and had never been to DC. Her work was supposed to take her, and they like just never got around to it. And so she's retired, and she's like, I want to go to DC. So we go, and we get to the Capitol. We can't go up. And I asked one of the Capitol Police, I'm like, hey, my mom's retired, worked for the government her whole life. Can I get a picture of her just like holding her hand on the Capitol, like on this pillar right here at the bottom of the steps? And the guy's like, oh, I'll do one better for you. He's like, I'll give you a private tour of like parts of the Capitol. And he's like, nobody else can come up here except you guys, since your mom, worked for the government her whole life. That was really awesome. And then on the way down, there's this older gentleman, and he asks that Capitol officer, he's like, hey, I want to go up there too. And the officer tells him, no, you can't go up there. And so I took a picture over the officer's shoulder looking at the guy, and the dude is just like frowning over the officer's shoulder. And I was like, oh, this was a fun photo. So that one kind of sticks out too, as like having some kind of story to it. I love Western inspired, like anything that has like a resemblance to the like old American West, and where it's like if someone's got a cowboy hat on, they got like a bolo tie, or it doesn't make sense to me. Like I'll put stuff up, I'm like, oh, this is something great, and it's like nobody's interested. And then I'll put something up like back when I was doing just like buildings and still things, it would be like, oh, the back of a semi-truck loading dock gets like the most interest of anything. I'm like, really? Okay. But who am I to judge what people like the most? One of the recent photo books I got was Shin Noguchi's recent one. I forgot what it's called now off the top of my head. He's a Japanese street photographer. There's a lot of great images in there. There's a few books that I want, but you can't get them anymore. And so you look on like eBay or something, and you're like, oh, that's $300 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It's like, I want, Daniel Arnold's first book, and it's like, you go look, and you're like, oh, I can just look at the pictures online right now. I'm not paying for that. Western stuff, older people, anything that's funny, I'm instantly getting a picture of that. If I see something in front of me that's like, I can fill a frame, because I want to have as much information in the photo, even if it's just, people in the background, or I'm just looking for something interesting to happen. You might only get one chance ever to take that picture, and then it's gone. And so it's exciting, because it's like, I don't know what I'm going to take that day. I don't know what I'm going to end up getting, if anything will turn out. I've met way more people having started doing street photography than like any other time in my life besides like being in school or something. When I was out taking landscapes, someone might say, oh, cool, you're doing that. But out here on the street, I'm seeing the same people every week. Making friends, meeting other photographers, even making friends with people that don't even take photos. You just see them around and you chit chat and stuff. It's a good excuse to get out of the house. I'm not trying to say anything important. Like there's people out there that, they're trying to cover something or say something important. And that's just not the angle I'm going for right now. maybe if there's something that comes across my path where I'm like, this is an important thing to convey to people or get a message across, I might go down that avenue, but nothing like that's presented itself, so. I don't think about that. Like, the only thing I'm thinking about is have fun. For me, it's all about having fun. And like, if I'm not having fun, why would I do this? Like, I'm not trying to make money. It's just something to get me out of the house.